Pretty big week 6. Welcome on into All Around the South. Welcome on in. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on when and where you're watching in from. This is All Around the South. I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, James. James, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. It's a little late upload this week, but it's coming off a chaotic week 6.
Yeah, that is true. So week 6, you want to talk ACC or SEC first?
ACC is a weird one. SEC, I think we start with SEC and we end off on ACC today.
Yeah, I was going to say the SEC conversation, it's pretty easy for week 6. I mean, you look across the board, Oklahoma's played a nothing game against Kent State. You have Texas A&M that kind of dominated Mississippi State. Obviously, you have the big upset, Florida beating Texas. What were your initial thoughts about that one, about Texas going down to the swamp, and it looked like their offense was just anemic?
Well, we had seen that throughout the year. Arch Manning had a couple slow starts, specifically in that UTSA game where I think he was like 1 of 16 at one point. Like he had like 6 straight incompletions. So he had a bit of an accuracy issue. But I think that game falls more into Florida's coming off a bye week, and the seat had never been hotter for Billy Napier. It was one of those prove it weeks where you show up or the door is right there. And he has the thing we've been saying about Florida all year is on paper that roster is a top 5 roster in the SEC. Like it's
there's not some huge talent gap there between Florida and Texas.
And I think you saw more Saturday what many Florida fans have been saying all year is lean into that running game and Jaden Ball, and it can alleviate some of the pressure on DJ Lagway and able him to slow down the game a little bit and limit his turnover issues and be able to find rhythm in the passing game. And they were finally able to really put the ball in Ball's hand and calm that DJ down enough to be able to win that 29-14.
So does that change your outlook on Florida for the rest of the season?
Okay, so it's like a double-edged sword. It makes me more. I think Jaden Ball is one of the best young running backs in the conference in the SEC. My issue is with over the course of his tenure at Florida, Billy will do this, is he'll have a great game. Like last year, he coached a great game against Lane Kiffin when they beat Ole Miss at home. Like he'll go through stretches where he looks like $1 million, gets everybody to buy in. This week's going to be a real challenge. He's facing a tough Texas A&M team where Florida, even on years where Florida is the better team, has had issues being able to take down the Aggies. And that Aggies offense is explosive. I think you're going to be able to tell really what this team's going to be for Florida. I think if they really I think they need to run the ball about 70% of the snaps just to allow the game to slow down for DJ Lagway. DJ Lagway, as we saw at points last year, can be one of the best young quarterbacks in the country. But whenever you're forcing him to throw the ball 40 to 50 times, that's not his preferred method of play, and you could tell on the field.
Yeah, and then to take it over to Texas a little bit, because I want to talk about this a little bit. Texas's defense, I think they look very good. The offense, it's just quite simply they have a quarterback issue. Arch is Arch. He looks young and he looks inexperienced, and that's what he is. He sat behind Ewers last year for majority of the season. I believe he only started 2 games due to injury. They got to figure it out, and I don't know if that is incorporating more of their run game, trying to lean in on that. I don't know if that's trying to do the short pass thing, whatever it is. But they got to figure it out at some point because he's not making good decisions, which is very concerning. Because the one thing you would think from Arch Manning is, hey, he has a high football IQ, and just the decision making just is not there, in my opinion. It definitely changes things for Texas, in my opinion. Texas is kind of at a point now where they got to start getting some wins. They got to start getting some quality wins at that. And, they have the opportunity with their schedule, but it looks a little rough down there, in my opinion. Until they get that offense going, it's going to be hard sledding.
One of the hindrances of Arch Manning, and people talked about it when he was coming out of high school, is he played 1A Louisiana football. And for those that do not know 1A Louisiana football, it's not a very high level of play. It was very much a Ferrari in a trailer park type of situation in Arch Manning. He was made to look better than what he is, and I think he is very good. But I think it's hurting him now more when he's playing all these kids that went to prep school and are used to playing with guys that are just as good, just as fast. And I think the game's a little too fast for him at this time. I think over time I think just the IQ and what he's been around his whole life. Eventually, he's going to catch up, but right now it's maybe too much too quick for Arch.
Yeah, and that's that I'm not selling the farm on Arch Manning personally right now. I think he will, like kind of like what you said. I think he'll develop into a good young quarterback, or a good quarterback. Just like you were saying, he's a little too young, and there's growing pains. Alabama just dominated Vanderbilt, and that's that's the expectation. Down in T-Town, that is the expectation. Alabama, they win 30-14. Diego Pavia, he tried. He tried. There was a lot of hype about Pavia. I know there's a lot of game day coverage specifically on him and his family and the situation going down to Tuscaloosa. But I mean, that Alabama defense, man, they look good. The passing game looks even more refined with Ty Simpson. He keeps still progressing as a quarterback. The offense is getting a little more deadly every single week, what we're seeing. And in my opinion, man, Alabama, they look like a legit contender right now.
This past Saturday, Jam Miller became the first Alabama running back to rush for over 100 yards since 2023. That's a crazy stat that you don't see that around Alabama. Alabama is known for their littered running back rooms. Their running back room's kind of been weaker. They relied a lot more on Milroy last year in the running game. Zam Miller hasn't been healthy all year. I think him coming into the fold and Ty Simpson being able to continuously progress, and that wide receiver room's finally getting healthy. Alabama's getting healthy at just the right time, and they were able to beat Georgia without a healthy Jam Miller. This Alabama team might be a wagon in the West.
Yeah, they are. They're looking deadly. And then final game of the conference, you had Kentucky going to Athens. Final score 35-14. That final score is not indicative of that game at all. Georgia just dominated Kentucky for 3 quarters and 10 minutes. Gunnar Stockton looked like Lamar Jackson at times. So rough times down in Lexington. And, what's unfortunate, no firings this week. But what's unfortunate is you're starting to see those calls become more and more prevalent for Mark Stoops' coaching position. And along with that, you're having a few reports come out about some people trying to move down there.
I was concerned about in watching the Georgia game this past weekend. Georgia leaves with a blowout win over Kentucky, but if you're a Georgia fan, you have to be concerned with that secondary. You allowed Cutter
Oh, yeah.
Bowley to be 12 of 16 at one point for 145 yards, and outside of some poor play calling down there on the goal line with a minute left in the half, there's a chance you go into the half with only a 7-point lead.
Uh-huh.
And that's indicative of a Kentucky offense that hasn't been able to throw the ball all year, but they were able to go down to Sanford Stadium, and they threw it all over the place in the first half. If it wasn't for their
Yeah.
defense not being able to get off the field, it may be a different ball game. But Georgia's had issues with that throughout the year to this point.
Yeah. Switch on over to the ACC now. A little recap of Week 6. Miami, they go up to Florida State, up to Tallahassee, and they win 28-22. Again, kind of similar to that Georgia game. I don't think the score is indicative of how that game really went, but it is a little concerning for me for Miami. They're having an issue where they're not closing out these games. They're letting teams come back late in the fourth quarter. Miami looks really, really good, don't get me wrong, but they're letting teams kind of claw back in this. I believe Florida State, they scored 15 points in the fourth quarter. Does that sound right?
19. It was
19
28
points, yeah.
quarter.
That's a little concerning for me about the Miami. They're just having a hard time closing out games. I mean, granted, like when they're starting, man, they're starting fast and they're starting hot. But other than that, I mean, Florida State, they show a lot of fight. Castellanos goes for 272. He has a pretty good little game. But yeah, Miami, luckily for them, they don't really have another test on their schedule, in my opinion.
Now, Miami kind of got the wheel of destiny in the ACC, as a lot of experts will try to say. Their schedule is very front heavy in terms of the ACC. Their really big tests are really the first 3 games. They get Florida State and Tallahassee, and then they get Louisville at home, and then they avoid the rest of the top 6.
But then keeping it kind of pushed around, you have 24 Virginia going to Louisville. They're winning 30-27 in overtime. We're not going to hit too much on this because watch the other show. It's going to be an interesting one. Virginia shows a lot of fight here, and this isn't me just. I know I have to preface this every time when we talk about Louisville. This isn't me just as a Louisville fan saying this or being salty or whatever. I think that game says a lot more about Louisville than it does Virginia. Louisville kind of spots Virginia 14 points essentially there, and they kind of beat themselves, in my opinion. And there are a lot of concerns about this Louisville roster at this point in time. With Virginia, though, they find a scrappy win, and good teams find a way to win, in my opinion. But yeah, I don't want to get too much into it from that perspective.
Oh, I completely agree with you. Louisville shot themselves in the foot in the game. I don't want to touch on that too much here. Virginia was able to consistently Virginia won this game on the back of their third down offense. You saw that a lot in their willingness to be risky. You saw that against Florida State a lot. Anything 4th and 3 or less, they're going for it over there in Charlotte. They're ready to go. And Louisville just has proven over the course of the year, as good as the defense has been, they cannot stop you from getting a yard. Like, if you need a yard, you're going to get that yard or two. Virginia was able to prove that. They're able to consistently, even on plays whenever Louisville was able to get the pressure on the backfield, they were able to just keep their feet moving and get 8 yards. It's a problem all game, and full credit to Virginia.
Yeah. Jumping around still, you have Boston College going up to Pittsburgh. Boston College just destroys Pittsburgh here, 48-7. It's one of my more one of the scores that kind of took me back this weekend. Pittsburgh looks they look completely reinvigorated with I think is his last name, how do you say his last name again? The Pittsburgh quarterback?
Again, to say his last name.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I'll put it up on screen. I don't really know how to say your last name. I don't want to butcher it, but the offense looks completely reinvigorated. That program looks night and day from that Louisville game that they lost. Jumping around still, another kind of surprising stat. Clemson 38, North Carolina 10. Clemson looks like they have an offense, but I think things are just that bad in North Carolina.
In the 3 losses for North Carolina, they're losing by an average of 27.5 points. That's with Bill Belichick, who's supposed to be a defensive guru, and his son, who had a decent Big Ten defense at Washington last year. It kind of comes off as a situation where personnel's not buying in as much, and as you see rumors going around that they're considering possible coaching change already. Not the path I thought this season was going to go for North Carolina. I went in thinking they were a 7-8 win team, possibly.
Do you think that Belichick finishes his tenure there?
I do not.
I don't
either. Before the season, I suspected there was always a chance that possibly Steve would be given the job and he would just step down before July. Because the way the contract situation was working, it seemed like that may have been the route they were going.
Man, I'm sorry. I keep looking over here. I have my computer here to the right. Speaking of the North Carolina, I just had one of my friends send me a post that Bill Belichick got fired, but then I saw real quick it's from No 3 Sports. I love that account because that would have been perfect timing. But yeah, no, I mean, that's kind of the point. I mean, you have these silly accounts putting out that he's being fired. There's legitimate reports going around that he's asking for his buyout already. You have the Hulu drama, which we're not going to get into that. But no,
what about the Drake May not being able to be posted by the university?
That is something wild. I don't know how anyone in North Carolina, like from the athletic department, looks at that. It's like, yeah, that's a good idea, Bill.
I feel like Alabama not posting Derrick Henry running for 200 yards. I want to touch on this game. This made my concern for SMU go up a lot. because with Syracuse losing Steve Angeli for the year, their offense isn't great. They've showed they've had issues moving the ball. Duke just completely destroyed Syracuse last week. I think it was 45-6 or something similar to that. SMU, even against Missouri State, and now the Syracuse defense that has had trouble against offenses like UConn, it just seems like it's getting really stagnant. Like they're able to make some splash plays, like 30, 40 yards down the field, but when teams are able to make them have to go 7, 8 plays to get down, they're just 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, and it's concerning to the play calling because Kevin Jennings is a really good quarterback. They had the personnel. It just seems like a scheme or play calling philosophy issue.
Yeah. And then final game, the 10 o'clock Eastern time kickoff. I know you love that. Duke goes over to California. They blank them 45-21. Interesting thing with this, I didn't realize until today, kind of looking around at the national scene. Do you know Darian Mensah is like a top 5 quarterback right now?
Is he?
Yeah, they are throwing the ball like crazy down there in Durham, which kind of brings me to my next point. Speaking specifically about Duke. So we're 6 weeks through the season, going into week 7. The ACC, being the ACC, they're going to send one really good team to the conference championship, and then they're going to send a okay team. It's looking more and more likely like it's going to be a Miami versus either Duke or Virginia or Georgia Tech in the conference championship. Now, no disrespect to Georgia Tech. I think Georgia Tech they're okay. I don't know if they're that top 13 level, like top 12 level, like we're seeing now in the polls, but they're okay. In your opinion, if you had to choose one of Georgia Tech, Virginia, or Duke to make the conference championship game right now, who are you choosing and why?
I'm not just saying this because they just beat us. I think it's Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I think Virginia's defensive line's one of the better units in the ACC. I think their secondary has some issues. I think you saw that in the past 2 weeks with Florida State. Deuce Robinson and Chris Bell both respectively going over 150 yards. But their ability to stay on the field and control time of possession wears teams out. In a conference where so many quarterbacks just want to sling it, they want to throw it 40, 50 times. Chandler Morris is more than happy to throw that ball 20 times and hand the ball off. Their offensive line's a little beat up. Their center did not play this past week, but they're going to get healthier. Out of those 3 teams, I think Virginia's the most suited. But honestly, you could throw them all in a cup, and I think any of them can give Miami a game any given day. I think Miami's head and shoulders above the rest of the conference right now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been a crazy year. Whenever you got UCLA beating Penn State, anybody can beat anybody. Just lace them up Saturday.
Yeah. Personally, I'm actually going with Duke right now. Duke or Georgia Tech. And again, this isn't me trying to do the Louisville thing. I know Virginia's won 2 really impressive games on paper the past 2 weeks, but I've not come away those past 2 games saying Virginia is the reason that they've won that football game. I think Virginia drops a few games in league play. Duke is kind of coming online at the right time after a rocky start. And then Georgia Tech, I still really like Georgia Tech. I'm just very concerned with the health of quarterback play, just as simple as that.
The play calling with Georgia Tech, and I don't want to ever sound like I'm wishing this, but the methods in which they use Haynes King, it's not sustainable. We've preached that all year.
Mm-hmm.
The issue with that is it kind of feels like if Haynes King does miss time, that offense is just going to be non-existent. Like I haven't seen a backup plan whenever it's not working.
Yeah. Then now I guess taking it over, starting to look forward towards week 7, and we'll do the ACC first. There's not a lot of talk about this week in the ACC. The closest, there's only one game that has a 1 touchdown spread. Everything else is 2 touchdowns or above. It's a really, really weak week for the week. Yeah, we said that right. For the conference, going around the board, you have Pittsburgh traveling to Florida State, Stanford traveling to SMU, Vatech, they're going to Georgia Tech, NC State going to Notre Dame, Wake Forest is going to Oregon State, and Clemson is going to Boston College. Is there any of these games you really want to talk about?
That Pittsburgh Florida State game has some potential to be interesting.
It does. I mean,
Because
it's still a 10.5-point spread.
I've seen some people take Pittsburgh on this, and if Pittsburgh's able to move the ball and sling it like that, I don't think it'll be as easy on him this week.
Yeah.
But Florida State's proven they have some issues in that running defense, and Pittsburgh has, if I'm not mistaken, they get their Desmond Reed back this week.
I mean, they should, and all credit to Desmond Reed. He's a top 10 back in the country. Honest to God, I mean, I could see it. I could easily see it. I don't know if it is. I'm not outright taking Pittsburgh in this game, but I do think Pittsburgh can make it cute. They can make it cute.
I'm going to be very, very interested in seeing how Clemson's offense looks against Boston College. Don't get me wrong, it's Boston College. Boston College hasn't looked great, but I'm curious to see if the offense has started to figure itself out, or if North Carolina's defense is really just that bad. And I think Boston College has a better defense, and make it a little bit more difficult on Cade Klubnik and the boys. That'd be something to watch. Another sneaky one. Just due to the fact Georgia Tech had issues with Wake Forest, and I do think Wake Forest is better than we thought they were, but they are near the bottom of the conference, not at the bottom. Virginia Tech beat NC State, so they've proven they're a little bit better than what they were at the start of the year. That's gonna be interesting to see if they're able to figure something out against Georgia Tech. And Georgia Tech comes out slow. Don't be shocked if Virginia Tech's in that game late.
Yeah, no, I could see it. I could see it. All right, now taking us on over to the Southeastern Conference, a little bit more of a week there. You got two, I would say, pretty big matchups. The first one we'll talk about, Alabama going down to Missouri. It is the 7:00 kick on. Or I'm sorry, it's the noon kickoff on ABC. This is another test for Bama. This is another test. Missouri, I don't know if Missouri's been really all that tested yet. They haven't played any big games in league play, from my understanding, right?
I think their toughest opponent was Kansas.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Which Kansas is nothing to write home about right now. Alabama's going in there a 3.5-point favorite. I think Alabama's getting really, really hot at the right time. I can't believe I'm saying this. Missouri is still somewhat of an unknown going into this part of the season. I mean, am I crazy? Do you think the Tide just kind of go down there and just roll over Missouri?
It shocks me that the spread's that low. Like, I think Alabama is 2 touchdowns better than this team on paper, and the fact that they're hot and they coming off 2 of their bigger wins of the year. That Georgia Vanderbilt, that 2-week span, beginning of the year was the kind of time frame you were circling if you're an Alabama fan. I think Missouri has kind of cooled off a little bit from what they were a couple weeks ago offensively. I think Alabama goes in and they win this game by 20, 30 points.
Really? I thought they were better. I didn't think they were that much better. I mean, I think the Tide do go down there and win. There's just, I still don't fully know that much about Missouri. And I look at Alabama and I'm like, man, you're looking hot. You're getting everything going. I think that, yeah. Bounce around though, Red River Shootout. That is at 3:30. Weird one here.
I did before we recorded. John Mateer is not expected to play. He's questionable, but they're not expecting him to play.
Well, I've seen where that's been back and forth all week. So Oklahoma, a confident top 10 team right now. I think they've proven it also. They've got adjusted into league play. They've adjusted without having Mateer playing specifically. They've gotten their run game more involved. We've talked about Texas earlier. They're kind of spiraling at this point in time. Oklahoma only a 1.5-point favorite in this one.
Here's what people, a lot of the national media are choosing to forget. Hawkins played a lot last year, and he did not look bad. He played pretty good on a team that a lot of the roster had quit. Everybody was pretty defeated, especially after that Tennessee loss when game day came to town. So Hawkins is not an inexperienced quarterback. He's a true sophomore. He's a guy that he's your natural dual threat. He can run the RPO pretty well. He can sling the ball pretty good. He got a nice accurate deep ball. And with the running game coming along, it makes it just as much of a threat because you can't really the receivers they got on the outside. He's able to spread that ball, and Texas's secondary is not going to be able to sit back because Oklahoma will run for 300 yards if they're not careful.
All right. Yeah. Okay, cool. So the one thing I will bring up here that if Texas loses this game, does that take them out of the college football playoff?
I think they may already be out. Because like we've touched on, the Florida loss doesn't look that bad right now because you got USF in the top 25, the Miami is a top 3 team. I don't think Florida's a top 50 team right now. So I think as the season goes on, that loss is going to become a worse loss. And Texas's schedule does not get any easier. So they'd have to win out to be able to even have a shot at it. And the odds of them winning out, I think if I looked right at ESPN, it's less than a 12% chance.
Mm-hmm. And then I guess also in that same conversation, do you think you see a quarterback change this week?
I think just due to the reality of how the NIL works currently, I think it's going to take a little bit more than the average quarterback change to occur in Texas. I think they put a little bit more money in their quarterback situation in Texas. So I feel like he has a little bit longer of a leash, and him being young, I think Steve's going to give him another chance. But to play off your question, with their schedule they have remaining in Texas, if they do lose this game and Oklahoma handles it convincingly enough, but at the end of the year, are Steve say extremely hot?
I don't know how you could. I get it that it's Texas, and I know it's a new day and age with NIL and booster relations. Like I fully get that. But I don't know how you could be in that situation right now because Sark has done everything. I mean, he's done everything you could ask for and more. Look at what Texas was when he took over the program, is what I would say.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's gotten you to the college football playoff. You're competing in the SEC. People have down years. You know, at Texas, you had about 10 plus years of down years. You know what I mean? I think that would be extremely short sighted for them to move on. You know, if you do have if we're saying a disaster season from Texas is a 7-1 season, is that what we would consider disaster?
Yeah, I think that would be worst case scenario for them.
And I don't know how you could, honestly. I just do I sound crazy in saying that?
No, I completely agree with you. If the forums online have been going about it, just because of how bad the offense has looked, and a lot of blame has been put. So you see a lot of people blaming Arch. I've seen a lot of people blame Steve, and I've seen a lot of people go back to how the offensive struggles in the playoff last year for Texas, and there's stark similarities to how the offense struggled in that to this year. Different quarterbacks, same problems, and if those problems continue to show themselves throughout the year, I don't know if it's a full-on coaching change, but you may see a shift in play calling. They might get a new coordinator in there or something. Okay, I think Steve does too much, specifically in the recruiting situation.
Uh-huh.
Steve's an insanely good recruiter, and he's done nothing but win at Texas. I think he probably has a top 5 job security in the country. I wanted to touch on the risk of it just because so many people have brought it up to me in this past week. But Texas is Texas. They're going to win games. They're going to lose a couple that they're supposed to win. It's the SEC. Anybody can beat anybody in the reality.
Yeah. Little news update from something we were talking about earlier. A comment was just made publicly available from Bubba Cunningham, the athletic director of North Carolina, and he says, and I quote, Bill Belichick has the full support of the Department of Athletics and the university. Alongside with that, Bill Belichick put out a joint statement with Bubba Cunningham. I'm fully committed to North Carolina football and the program we're building here. So I don't know if that's just smoke or if that is honest to God quote time. But yeah, things are getting weird down there in Chapel Hill. Bounce around still though in the SEC, a game I kind of want to talk about a little bit here, and I'm sorry that kind of threw me off, so I'm getting readjusted on this side of the house. That's still fucking loading. There we go. All right, bouncing around though, continuing on with the SEC, a game I kind of want to talk about here that I think's really, really interesting is the Deep South's oldest rivalry. You got Georgia going to Auburn. That's going to be a very interesting game because this is a game Georgia could lose.
Both of these teams have so many questions.
Mm-hmm.
In the Kirby Smart era, well, maybe his first couple of years in 18 and 19, but since then, have we seen a Georgia team with this many question marks in week 7 of a college football season?
No, we haven't.
And on the flip side of that, you got Hugh Freeze, who the Auburn fan base, naturally, you've seen it with Gene Chizik, you've seen it with Gus Malzahn. They're very, I don't want to say fair weather, but they can flip on a dime. Like they could want you out one week and they love you the next week.
Well,
But
this is Auburn. It's just Auburn football. I mean, Auburn football. At the end of the day, they live in the shadow of Alabama. They have one good season every 15 years, and they think their one good season should be the standard. But I mean, you can only have so much Yellowwood money in the world. It's Auburn football, and that's just Auburn. That is the Auburn fan base. They want every season to be the special season, but just circumstantially, I'm sorry, Auburn, it can't be.
so
It
far,
can't.
so far this year, Auburn's season will be remembered as a really hot start and a good win against Baylor.
Mm-hmm.
And so far in conference play, it was you almost had it. You had the one call where the SEC outright said they missed a call when you could have beat a top 5 team in Oklahoma. And then you went down to Texas A&M, and factors at bay got you. It was a tough road game. You got beat. Texas A&M was able to.
Ruben Owens just ran all over you.
Yeah, they
You
dominated
know,
the
I mean,
offensive line. Like you just didn't show up. That was a game that I think both of us actually picked Auburn in that game coming off the Oklahoma game, and we were very wrong.
yeah,
So this Auburn team, you just don't know what you're going to get out of it. But in a similar fashion, you don't know what you're going to get out of that Georgia secondary. If Auburn's able to get time, do not be shocked if this is a shootout similar to that 2014 game where Jordan Marshall was able to throw that deep ball over the top in the fourth quarter.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I just I feel like Auburn's gonna be this team every single season where I look at the schedule, I'm like, oh man, Auburn could win this game. And then Auburn doesn't win the game. But I do think there are a lot of question marks here for Kirby. I think Kirby can really prove a point here also. And yeah, it's gonna be a fun one to watch. I don't know who I'm taking honestly outright, but it's gonna be a fun game to watch.
To that Georgia,
No, it's on the plains. It's in Auburn.
that makes it even tougher.
I mean, it's 45 minutes away from Georgia. Like
Yeah,
Georgia fans always find a way to get there.
weird things happen at Jordan Hare.
I don't know. I don't know. Again, there's just the Auburn conversation. I don't
Auburn's
know
just
who this team is. And I don't know who Georgia is either. You know, I'll keep doing the thing all year where I give Georgia a lot of grace because I'm like, oh, it's Kirby Smart, it's Georgia. But I mean, up to this point, I don't know if Georgia has fully earned that grace. I mean, yeah, they had the win over Tennessee, but again, like, I mean, looking at Tennessee, I don't know how good you are.
even that they were bait. They were dead to rights. Tennessee, they didn't win that game. Tennessee lost that game.
Yeah. I don't want to. We're not going to pick this game or anything. I just have to hit on it. Speaking of Tennessee, Bobby Petrino rides again, starting this week. Arkansas going up to Tennessee. I think, yeah, Tennessee only an 11.5-point favorite,
Oh,
which is just wild.
they're not gonna cover that. Here's my thing. If you look at what we've heard is when Bobby's actually got full reign of the offense, they've been averaging out like 28 points a half.
Yeah.
Tennessee's defense is not very good. You saw Mississippi State be able to move the ball at will against them the last time we saw them. This could be a game where both teams score 40 points.
I mean, it's going to be a fun one. I'm excited to see Bobby Petrino riding again at Arkansas.
How many read options will you see Bobby call in the first half?
Oh my God, it's gonna dude, give me an over-under of like 25. Dude, Arkansas could very easily run like 40 plays in the first half, and I wouldn't be surprised at all. I mean, I think you are going to see like this week, first week of the offense fully under Bobby Petrino control. You're going to see the best of Bobby hits. You're going to see like the same play calls from like 2000s Louisville, the 2010s Arkansas, a little bit of Western thrown in here, some Falcons, a little Lamar Jackson. Like you're just going to see the best of. It's just going to be everything that everything that's ever worked for him. He's just going to be like, you know what? Throw it at the wall. We'll see what sticks.
He's gonna be like Rich Rod week 1 at West Virginia this year.
Oh my God, just going crazy. I mean, like one thing I will say, and again, I don't want to talk too much about this game. Arkansas, if you watch, like I know Louisville page, primarily Louisville audience, so take it with a grain of salt. If you watch this Arkansas offense this season, specifically in that first half, before Pittman would call the dogs off, dude, it looks just like the Lamar Jackson offense. I mean, like down to like the same play calls. Now they don't have a Lamar Jackson, but they're trying to do the same exact thing that Bobby was doing here in 16. But it's a fun offense, and that is one thing I'll always say about Bobby Petrino. It is a fun offense to watch.
And the quarterback they got, he's not Lamar, but he's a guy that's been with Bobby for now 3 years. He was with Bobby at Boise State too. At Talon Green, he is a ball player. Like he can run the ball pretty good. He can sling it. The only issue is his offensive line's kind of been a little bit to be desired there in Arkansas the past couple of years. He had some injury issues going into last year.
Hey guys, this is Josh in post-production. Due to some technical difficulties there, we lost our last 5 minutes of conversation pieces, but we just left off talking on Arkansas and Bobby Petrino playing Tennessee this week. Outside of that, we've really hit on all the major games that we wanted to hit on. I really do hope all of you guys have a great college football Saturday. This is a good one across the board for the SEC. A little light, though, for the ACC. As always, though, thank you guys so much for watching and interacting with the content. Please like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff, and we will catch you guys next time on All Around the South.